First of all, I do like that the game was released in 1999, the day of Lavos. It's cute, Squaresoft. It's real cute. Like the game opens with like a flash forward dream that Surge is having, and it's Surge and Kid and then a random character, which is nice because it kind of blends into like the theme of like multiple realities. Like, ooh, in this reality he had Fargo in his party. Oh, in this reality he had freaking Mushroom Man in his party. Cool. I like that. The game opens with the Chrono Trigger "Good Morning." Thanks for the fake out game. It's like the game wants you to think that it's going to be a Chrono Trigger game, but it's not. I don't know why they did that, other than just fan service. I'm all for fan service, but this game I think would have been better with more fan service, because it's almost like a schizophrenic kind of thing, because the game wants to reference Chrono Trigger, but it also doesn't. It feels like it doesn't know what it is. Like it has a lack of identity, which is a shame, because the last thing a sequel should have is a lack of identity. That's for sure. In the opening village, you can already pick up an optional character like right in the beginning, which is cool. I like the beginning of the game. Again, like every JRPG ever, it's a slice of life. It's a slice of life kind of opening. And then you get sent to another world where you've been dead for 10 years. And I remember when I was young, that idea, like, it's one of the coolest ideas ever. Like, it opens so many questions. I love just that opening concept. That's what this game is. It's a lot of really interesting concepts, like story-wise. A lot of really interesting concepts. Delivery, we'll get to that later. But the concepts themselves, really cool. And it opens with a really strong one. What would you do if you woke up in a world where you were a ghost, where you had died 10 years prior, and no one knows who you are? That's a strong opening. Tie in with the branching reality motif of the narrative. It blends in with the plot as well. So there's moments in the game where there's branching. There's branching moments. It's like I've heard time being described as like a river, like a current, and you can throw a pebble in, you can kind of create ripples, and you can change how the water looks, but the river current always goes the same way. So in this instance, like, there are branches in the story, and you can make little ripples and change how things look, but the story always ends the same, which is it's nice. I don't know if that really fits in thematically as even close as well as Chrono Trigger tied in its time travel with its narrative. This game tries to do a lot. This game is super overambitious, which I respect it for. I like overambitious stuff. I like stuff that's punches up. Like, we like when people try ridiculous stuff, even if it fails. So either way, if this game isn't perfect, I still liked what it tried to do. It does have an interesting way of, like I said, with the branching thing, it has an interesting way of presenting like narrative possibilities. Like I said, it gives you like the almost illusion that you can change these narratives. You can't, after all. It's hard to explain. It feels like it has a longer narrative leash than it really does. I wish it had a longer narrative leash. Like, I wish it kind of lets you do a little bit more. But it does reward exploration in terms of, like, story gameplay interaction. It rewards with narrative and lore, new playable characters and stuff. There's too many of them. Now, on to my biggest problem with Chrono Cross is the padding. To get to Fort Dragonia, it's so long. It's so long. Like, why did it have to take so long? Like, why? I swear, like, this game, you could take 15 hours out of it, and it'd be so much better. There's a couple of significant moments in the game where the narrative just falls apart, and you're just given dumb, repetitive things to do. It's not. I mean, maybe it's unfair, but I mean, this is a sequel to one of the, if not the tightest, leanest JRPG games ever. So yeah, I'm going to compare it to its predecessor, because that's the point of a sequel. There's a few other moments that are really, really strong too. The Surge Lynx swap is still one of my favorite gaming moments. It's so cool. Like, just like I get why the first act had to be somewhat long to introduce Lynx, but you're not really interacting with Lynx a lot in the first act. Like, they should have tightened it up, had more interactions with Lynx, and you get to Fort Dragonia, and then suddenly you're Lynx. He takes over your body, you take over his body. And just the concept of taking over, like, becoming the antagonist, and the world starting to treat you like the antagonist, it's really cool. It's definitely like the linchpin moment of the game that I think everyone remembers. Like, everyone, apart from the intro, like, this is the moment that everyone remembers, and for good reason. It's a very strong narrative moment. Like, it's very, very strong. Super cool. So there is a lot of exposition, a lot of really heavy-handed exposition, which I don't mind. I'm just telling you as it is. There are multiple moments of, like, there's Dead Sea, Chronopolis. I think Terra Tower also has there's a lot of moments where your characters are walking around and it'll stop and then just text. Someone will talk and they'll just talk and just tell you, as you know, blah blah, this happened, blah 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 blah. As long as the content is interesting, I'm okay with heavier exposition. So I didn't mind it as much, because the stuff that they said was really interesting. But I'm just telling you how it is. There's a lot of heavy-handed exposition in this game. It could have been done better. I mean, Xenogears is my favorite game, and the second disc is the heaviest exposition you'll see around. So would I have done Chrono Cross's exposition differently? Sure. Would I have done Xenogears exposition differently? Definitely. But it is what it is. It's heavy-handed exposition. Why are Chrono, Luca, and Marl's shades, they're little time ghosts, why are they so young? What is that? In Chrono Trigger, they were, like, in their late teens. So why are they, like, 10-year-olds? I don't know. If anyone out there has any idea why the heck that is, I'd love an answer, because I do not know. Let's see. Narrative moment I didn't like. Nicky's performance. His little rock opera thing. Ugh. That was so dumb. Oh my god. Like, it tried to be like Final Fantasy VI opera scene or something. No. Let's talk about its connections to Chrono Trigger. Now, the game does have very, very significant connections to Chrono Trigger. Basically, the mover of the lore is Balthasar. The game itself is based off of kind of what I caught on at the end of Chrono Trigger, was that where did Robo go? If his future had been destroyed, or if his future didn't exist anymore, where did he go? And this game answers that, because Baldassar also got sent to the future too, and if that future didn't exist anymore, where did he get sent to? So the answer is they got sent to a new timeline, so to speak, where humanity had flourished, and Lavos, had been defeated. And then it kind of goes from there. Like, Baldassar starts doing time experiments, and he finds out about the Time Devourer, which is Lavos melded with Shala, and they were going to destroy all of reality. And he creates this super complicated project plan. It's cool. I like it a lot, actually. Like, that part of the game I really like. Now, the Shala thing was not handled very well, in my opinion. So Surge got attacked by a panther demon, and his dad was taking him to Marble, and then Shala heard Surge's crying across space and time, and then created an electrical storm that sent them into the Sea of Eden. Dumb. That doesn't even make any sense. Like, what does that even mean? She heard his cries across space-time. What does that mean? What, she only hears Surges? Does she hear all babies? And she's like, well, that's a special one. Like, what does that mean? I hate it. I hate it. There's a couple of moments that I'm just like, why? Okay. So the Shala thing, like, I guess it just makes me sad, because originally the plan was to have a more focused, because this is where I'll talk about the characters affecting the narrative. The original plan was to have a more focused, story in terms of characters and lore. Like, it was supposed, Guile was actually supposed to be Magus, and Magus, there was supposed to be a plot with him and Shala, and there was supposed to be an actual, I don't know, some character arc finish with Magus, and it was supposed to. That sounds awesome. Because at the end of Chrono Trigger, he leaves, he loses his memory, and just goes out, and he wants to save Shala, and that's we find out that was in another dimension. That's the Radical Dreamers dimension, and now Guile is just a guy who kind of looks like Magus and was supposed to be Magus but isn't Magus. It's just dumb, and it's just like, without Magus there, it's like the Shala thing is just, oh, it's Shala. Like, what do these characters have anything to do with Shala? Like, imagine if one of the what if Guile was one of the main characters, and then near the end it was, oh my gosh, he's Magus. Like, you couldn't figure out already, but oh my gosh, he's Magus. Like, he looked different, and then suddenly it's revealed he's Magus, and then he saves his sister, and it's emotional. They could have actually done stuff, but instead she heard Surge's cry from across time and space. It's just dumb. But I mean, this is just me nitpicking on something, but the story itself is really cool. The plot isn't. This is my major problem with Chrono Cross. The story is cool, like the overarching story of Baldassar and Robo and the time crash and really cool conceptual stuff. But you don't see any of this cool conceptual stuff. All you see is a really weak plot that has really just two strong moments: the opening and the link switch. It's cool opening, padding, link switch, actually pretty cool NPC sub stories, and then exposition, and then the end. I mean, I like that they focused on NPCs, because it reminded me a lot of Chrono Trigger, where the NPCs kind of got more of a spotlight than the main characters. The main characters got their spotlight in the side quests, but in the main game, really the character growth happened within the NPCs. So I mean, it's cool that they did that. I like Fargo's story for the most part. I like Karsh's story a lot, and the whole Master Mune subplot, super cool. Like, again, I think that was supposed to be like, I think that was supposed to be a more major plot. Involving maybe an older Glenn, like an actual Glenn, and Guile, who turns out to be Janus Magus. Like, there's so much possibility, and which is ironic because the game's kind of about possibility, but the game kind of squandered its own possibility because there's just too many characters. It's just too many characters. It's not a very focused plot. The plot just kind of meanders, has a cool moment, meanders some more, has a cool moment, exposition, end. So I do have some problems with it, but not with the story. I have a problem with the plot. One thing I do like about this game is it's so incredibly Xenogears-y. Now, I actually, like, throughout the game, I just made this list of things that made me go, hey, that's Xenogears. Hey, that's Xenogears. Now, of course, the main scenario writer and director of Chrono Trigger and Chrono Cross also did Xenogears. I think FF7 too. So they all kind of have these reoccurring motifs. And I'd just like to share some with you, because I'm a Xenogears fan, and I'm going to make you one too. In Chrono Cross, the save crystals actually serve a narrative function, like they're being used to, like, control the populace, just like in Xenogears. About the Frozen Flame, Karsh says literally, the Frozen Flame contains mysterious powers which can guide anima and change history. Zohar much? Lynx, when you first meet him, goes, what do you desire from this world? Groff much? Chronopolis used fate as a link to the Frozen Flame to acquire mass amounts of infinite energy. Xenogears much? Humans treated as unnatural additions to the planet and controlled by a computer. Like, humans presented as half finished or incomplete. Very Xenogears. Lynx calls the Frozen Flame the hearer of people's prayers. Zohar much? The world that the inhabitants know, it's all a constructed lie where they're manipulated and used. Deus much? Even the Frozen Flame itself has, like, the Deus eye motif, with, like, eyes everywhere on it. Surge himself, as a child, makes contact with the Frozen Flame and becomes the arbiter, or the contact, to Lavos. Xenogears. Surge's father is possessed by fate and becomes his son's nightmare. Groff and Faye much? And Shala is kind of like the wave existence. She's kind of manipulating things from the background to become free. It's very... I remember even noticing this when I was younger, but now playing through, I'm just like, wow. This game is really, really Xenogears-y in terms of, like, its story. So, yeah, super cool. The game doesn't have a lot of characterization. It's funny because, going back to the PC, so I'm kind of rambling. So, Surge, Kid, those are like the main character PCs, have no character growth. The only ones that really have character growth, Fargo, Karsh, General Viper, that's it. And, like, I mean, for Chrono Trigger, that was kind of what they were going for, and it worked because it was really simple. It was a simple game with a simple plot. It worked. But with Chrono Cross, they're trying to do this big, massive, complicated, Xenogears-esque, super complicated story with 45 characters, but there's, like, no character growth. Like, I didn't care about any of the characters, which really sucks. Really sucks. The themes, they're okay. The themes, You have like a self identity, with the Surge and Link's kind of split. If everyone sees you as the villain, does that mean you're the villain? That kind of like self-reflective identity philosophy. Interesting, not handled well as it could have been. Like I feel like because that's such a cool moment of you switching over to be the antagonist. They could have really done some really cool explorations on what that could mean, like what that could do to a person. Fate is a theme. It's not really a theme as much as something they just push down your throat, but there's really no plot or narrative framing behind it. It's just like fate, fate, fate. There's a character named Fate, 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 fate. Like, again, Chrono Trigger handled the theme of fate a lot better with saying a lot less. Now, these are the two major themes of the story. It's consequences and mankind's destructive nature. Consequences, I think it's handled pretty well for the most part. Like you affecting quests and side quests, like the poetry girl. There's a side quest where like a girl in Homeworld wants to quit her job and be a poemer, a poet, and her version in another world quit being a poet a long time ago, and you kind of have to jump between worlds and try to make the girl who gave up not give up. Stuff like that. I think it's really cool. And then like the larger motif of consequence, like the Chrono Trigger crew in stopping Lavos, who would have just destroyed the world, created the Time Devourer, which is an even huger threat, which will destroy all of known reality. And the Chrono Cross crew in stopping Fate, they thought they were doing good, but they actually ended up, Fate was actually a system to keep the Dragon Gods in check, and then the Terra Tower came back. I wish Terra Tower would have been handled better. The concept of reptites from an alternate reality coming in to destroy mankind for being Lavos' children. Super cool idea. Not really. They don't do anything with it. They don't do anything with it. It's all just conceptual. It's like, it's a shame. And then that ties into mankind's destructive nature. This is throughout the whole game. I mean, you have poor, first of all, mankind oppressing mankind. You have you or someone else, depends on what you choose, destroying the Hydra, and that leads to the dwarfs invading the fairies area. Fargo's descent into madness through loss, the corruption of the Masamune. The Masamune plot line is really cool. Like it really is the only time in the game where I really felt like they were making some sort of real thematic statement about what lies in man's hearts. Like, was it the sword that corrupted them, or was it the corruption in their hearts that corrupted the sword? I really like that. In conclusion, is Chrono Cross a good sequel to Chrono Trigger? No. Is Chrono Trigger a good game? Yes. Is Chrono Trigger a great game? Yes. With some caveats. Like with Xenogears, if there's enough charm in this game for you that you can look past its flaws, that's great. But for me, there wasn't enough charm to really push me through some of these plot flaws. But I do not regret playing it. I'm sure some people are going to watch this video and be like, wow, you're wrong, you're a jerk, you just go to heck. That's cool. But this is my opinion. I am Meatball. Thank you for watching my review of Chrono Cross. I'll see you guys later.